Today, we're going to spend some time looking into the Robinhood and then Charles Schwab and how to set up those two platforms in order to use them, set up the recurring payments, set up automatic purchasing for dollar cost averaging, how easy is it going to be or maybe hard. I have not used Robinhood. I've used Schwab a long time ago. I have never used it for my personal investment accounts. I only use it for my RSUs. So it will be very interesting. I don't know what's going to come out of this yet, and I'm very excited to share the whole journey with you. So this is my first time ever launching Robinhood. I'm going to ask app not to share my information. Sign up, get 5 to 200 of stock. All right. Boom. A lot of legal information. I would imagine they will be asking for my government IDs and everything else. I don't know why it takes them so long to verify my legal name. All right, let's do it again. Finish creating your account to start investing with as little as $1. You're almost there, finishing signing up for Robinhood to begin your investing journey. My first list, cryptos to watch. Okay. Complete sign up. So far so good. Phone number verified. I'll try to hide this information from YouTube. What is your residential address? Okay. Few questions about my investment. How much investment experience do you have? I'm an expert. Commission-free options trading. Yes, please. Are you employed? Yes. Acknowledge right there. What is your employer's address? Are you a family member, senior executive, 10% shareholder at a publicly traded company, right? This is important. This is not every company. It's a public, and I'm not. Do you or any of your family members work for a stock exchange or brokerage? No. These questions are basically focused on the insider trading. Tax certification. Sure. If you have been notified by the IRS that you're subject to backup withholding because you have failed to report all interest, uncheck this box. No, I'm not. Electronic delivery of documents, I agree. Robinhood margin account agreement, stock lending agreements, personal information sharing. I should have, let me uncheck this one. Fund your account. Perfect. So budget friendly, start small and add funds anytime you run low. What I've heard about Robinhood and why it might be such a great investment tool. I think Schwab might do this as well. They allow to purchase parts of the shares, right? So they allow for that. You don't need to necessarily have $500, $600 to buy Tesla stock or S&P 500. You can just buy a fraction of that. So that's called fraction or fractional investment, where you buy less than one whole unit of a stock or something like that. All right, so here's where I'm going to connect my bank account. And Plaid is like a top company that provides the services of connecting your banks to other companies or any other institutions that you might be using with other services. So now I'm going to go through my Chase. This will be in Spanish because it's translated in Spanish. I don't want to give my Robinhood account access to credit cards or mortgage loans, so I'll just do my checking account. It jumps between the apps because it needs all these different types of authorizations. And now we're back to Robinhood. At some point, it will basically show, how much money do I have in my account, how much of that do I want to actually put into the Robinhood. Okay, so my bank account was successfully linked, which is incredible. Earn extra on your deposits. You're about to make your first deposit. Make it go farther with Robinhood Gold, our premium membership. So if I pay Robinhood $5 a month, I will get a savings account with them, basically. So for 4.5% annual percentage yield on cash, I'm going to get 60 days of a boosted rate, and then keep earning 4%. Okay, so that's important. For 60 days, only 4.5%. After that, it's 4%. There's no cap on earnings, which is nice. The more you deposit, the more you earn. I guess maybe there's a cap if I don't do that. And then withdraw or trade anytime. Okay, so I'm not going to do that right now. I just want to see how this works, right? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to transfer $200 worth of cash. Let's see how that goes. So, okay, that confirms my checking account. Okay, now it asks me how often do I want that, right? Set a deposit. Keep working toward your long-term investing goals. I like it. I like this. I have never had this set up before, but I actually want to. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do every week. I'm going to continue. I hope it's going to ask me again, yes, how much I want to put every week. I will say I want to put $50 every week. Okay, so this deposit will be initiated every Monday. Up to $800 will be available immediately for trading, which is interesting. I don't know if that number is going to change. I actually can't click, so I'm trying to click on this number here. For some reason, I cannot. Okay, that's fine. I can schedule this now. All right, wonderful. I can open an IRA account, which is nice. If you plan to, retire here in the States, I'm gonna say maybe later, and I'll get back to that in a second. So finally, we're done with. I will allow notifications in my scheduled notification program, but it basically what it does is allows me to save money, towards my retirement by just putting money into my investment account. What I do want to find out though is how can I set it up so that it buys the stocks, individual stocks, automatically as well. So on Monday, my money comes into my account. On Monday, evening or on Tuesday morning, how can I buy S&P 500, for example? Okay, some advices here. Learn to earn, IPO access. That's nice, interesting. Filter and focus your search for new investments and set custom alerts for technical indicators. I like that. Okay, well, so far they've done this whole process incredibly smooth, right? I can see my accounts here, so, right? I can add a new account. That's where your Roth IRA or 401k would go. I don't think they do 401ks. I think they do Roth IRA and traditional IRA. So, at least from what I've seen so far. Prediction markets. This is where you can make bets, right? This is like a betting market, not something I'm interested in right now. This is where I can create my lists, something I'm interested in, stock that I'm gonna look into or make my research on. I can get guided help. I can transfer accounts, which is interesting. Okay. What do we have here? This is their credit card. This is their IRA account. This is crypto. And this is my profile, right? So I can change this. Okay. So going back to the investments, claim free stock, buying power. Deposit funds, enable margin. What I'm looking for right now is a big button that says buy stocks here, you know? Or like, how do I search? Okay, wonderful. I guess we start with the search for the stock. So right now I'm going to search for S&P 500. New chart displays, sure. We saw today it right now it crashed 1.5% because Israel, fired missiles towards Iran. We'll see tomorrow what's going on there, how that will play out. But we are here for the long term, so we'll be putting money regardless of the wars, conflicts, crises. Does not matter. All right, trade options or buy. We'll go into buy. Okay, wonderful. You see, because it thinks that, this is my first time using Robinhood, it thinks it should give me some suggestions and advice on how to do it. It talks about the limit prices, which is wonderful. I think people should know about it. If they don't, okay, you can buy in dollars, you can buy in shares, so you can specify how many shares do you want, or you can specify how many dollars do you have, right? So that's what I was talking about, where S&P 500, if I were to put one share, right now in the market, it costs $594.70, right? I only put $200. So obviously I cannot do that. I could do with Robinhood, I could put 0.5, which is still not going to be, below $200. So I wouldn't be able to buy it, but I can do it. I can buy these fractions of the share. I can buy as little as 30 cents or $30, and I can just cut and slice it whatever way I want in order to fit my amount of money that I have. I think it's wonderful. It hasn't been done, up until the last 10 years or so, maybe even less. Before you just had to have enough cash to buy at least one share. And then they've launched these fractional shares where they pull money from all the people on their platform and they buy, one share, and they probably just do some mathematical averages and calculations and some insurance in order to cover cash that they have on their accounts if it's not enough to actually buy the shares. It's very interesting. We are going to jump into other options here. So first of all, we have recurring investment. This is what I'm looking for, right? Right there, it's I can see it already. The next one is limit order, right? I would imagine that the limit order might be a default option that they do, just like any order is a limit order. Because what I can do, let's click it. Yes, perfect. They do this beautiful visual. So what they say is that you put a limit order, right? So S&P 500 right now is at $594, right? But if we do a limit order and we put a limit order for $590, we won't buy the stock until it actually hits that price. So it will be $594 for quite some time, and then at some point it will drop. And when it drops to $590, that's when our order will execute. That's when we actually will purchase the share. And so you can see now it kind of shows us the bid and ask, right? Those two numbers. So bid is usually lower than the ask. Ask is how much the market asks for us in order to buy this share. Bid is how much sellers are, how much buyers. So ask is how much the market wants for this share. The bid is how much can I get for this share when I'm selling it, right? Okay, so if I were to say 0, okay, interesting. So with the limit order, I cannot do the fractional shares, right? So I can't put a dot here. I can't say 0.5. I can only do 1 at the minimum, right? I can do 100, of course, or 1,000, but I can't do fractional shares. That's very interesting. And so now what happens here is I can put how much money am I willing to pay for one share, right? So I can say $150. And I can go through this and it will say more options here, right? So first of all, trading session. I can say market hours, I can say extended hours, or 24-hour market. I didn't know they have 24-hour market, to be honest, but apparently they do. They probably provide some internal liquidity that they have on their profiles, and then they settle all these transactions the next business day or next market day. So what happens here is that usually markets are open. So first of all, what I'm seeing here, that's important, for people who are watching me on YouTube, to realize this is a Pacific Standard Time, right? So I'm in Los Angeles. That's why we're seeing the market hours from 6:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you're in New York, that's where the Wall Street exchange is, right? And New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, Wall Street itself, market hours are from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So this is where the bulk of trading happens. This is where people come to the exchanges, they work in the companies, they work in the businesses, they do all the different orders, purchases, selling, everything happens during the market hours. Then sometimes transactions wouldn't settle for some time before or after. So what they've done, they've created these extended hours. If there's a news or something's happening, in order to kind of smooth out the volatility that happens when the market opens. So imagine there's war. Imagine there's some kind of strike, missile strike, or like workers strike in a company. Something happened overnight. Earnings report came out. If everybody were to react on that news exactly at 9:30 a.m., that would basically like bring so much undesired technical challenges and limitations on the stock exchange and the technical infrastructure of that stock exchange. So what they've done is they've extended these hours so people can pre-fill their orders, and those orders sometimes they can actually be fulfilled during the extended hours. A lot of times they can also be fulfilled during the market hours when they open finally, but at least that way the infrastructure is all kind of ready there. The market also knows what to anticipate, what the price is. So they've done that. I haven't seen 24-hour market. That's very interesting. So they kind of, why do they give you this opportunity to choose? Well, because in market hours, there is higher liquidity. And that means that the price has much more chances to actually get to the point that you want. If you're willing to kind of risk it a little bit on the extended hours, God bless, they give you that option. Time in force. Time in force is this. Good till after hours closed, and that's because we extended hours. We chose extended hours. 1 p.m. tomorrow, because market hours today are done. I know it shows 9:41 on my screen, but the real time is 7:20 p.m. right now in here in Los Angeles when I'm recording this. And that's why it says 1 p.m. tomorrow, which means for the whole market hour session, this order will be open. It will be open for the whole market session, and then if it's still not fulfilled by the end of the day, it will be canceled. If I'm doing extended hours, 5 p.m. tomorrow, right? So not 1 p.m., but 5 p.m. If I'm doing 24-hour market, also does 5 p.m. tomorrow. I think this is just arbitrary that they've chosen. Finally, let's put back to market hours. Another option here is good till canceled. And it gives you 90 days, right, for that price to actually be fulfilled. So what it does is, at the end of the market hour day, it does not cancel your order. It just keeps your order there, and you basically, get an option to keep your order active for 90 days. Sometimes you can hear about these glitches that happen on the stock exchanges. Sometimes there's technical infrastructure glitch. Sometimes there's just a pure somebody entering wrong numbers glitch. But what you can do is you can literally set a limit price of $5 on S&P, right? And pretend that somebody is selling, and they also put limit order type of structure in order to sell their share, because maybe they don't want to get less than $595 for that share that they have. So what they're going to do is they're going to set limit order on the selling side and say, I'm not selling unless it's $595. So what happens is, if I were to put the $5 limit order on S&P and somebody put $5 as a limit order to sell, technically that might trigger the deal, right? They might have mistyped two numbers or whatnot, or maybe they put 55 instead of 595, and my limit price is $55. That could trigger a deal because both of us agreed on the price, right? So sometimes, for the fun's sakes, you can set very small numbers and just keep them on the back burner and see maybe once in a while somebody makes a mistake. I don't usually do that, but you can hear sometimes stories about that happening, right? So finally, it shows the estimated cost for us. We can review, and they have this really nice animation of swipe and submit. This is nice. I like it. It's very simple. I'm sure there's more text that I'm just not reading right now because I know these basics that would be helpful. I hope that they kind of educate people about this because this is important. There's a trailing stop order. We can talk about that during the class. It shows beautiful kind of chart here, what that means. That usually is used when the stock price is falling down. Stop order is when you're selling, right? It's similarly what I was talking about, $595. And stop limit order, this happens at two things. I'll need to look into this one more time. Set a fixed stop price above the current price of S&P. A limit buy order is triggered. That's right. Rise to the stop price or higher. Yep. So what happens is this: when the stock price, somewhere at $594, this is to sell. This is to sell your stock. If it gets to 500, let's say if it gets to $600, you trigger this trade and you say the lowest I'm willing to sell is 610. So the order is going to start working. But then if it gets from 610 to 600 back, then you sell as well. So it's like in this range, sell my stock. But try to get as much as possible, right? That's how I understand it, but I'm going to reread it again. This is kind of the opposite, where the stop price follows or trails the lowest price of S&P by a trail that you set, and market buy is triggered when S&P rises to the top price or higher, to the stop price or higher. I think it basically says the following: if my trailing stop price is something like 2% of the stock price, if we are dropping by, as far as I can tell, those 2% increments, and then at some point we're going to be that increment lower. I don't know. I gotta look it up. I know that this is a percent based. So initial stop price. This is to sell your stock, right? And you can see as the market price changes, it changes the initial stop price, but it trigger a market buy order if S&P rises above its lowest price by 2%. So it fixates right now the lowest price on the market, And if it gets above 2%, I believe it's gonna buy the S&P 500. I'm gonna look it up, and before the next class, I'm gonna explain this in a much more detail. Okay, so recurring purchases, right? Every market day, every week, every 2 weeks, every month. And this is wonderful. So I would imagine I can set every week, and then I can choose a day. Or does it say every Friday? Yes, it does. Okay. So it says every Friday I'm going to buy something. How much do you want to buy? And while we are putting $50 in this, if there is really no commissions, then it should just buy for all the whole $50. And I can choose from which account. That's nice. Okay, so technically I don't need to be putting money into this account and then buying $50. I can just say, get from this total checking account $50 and buy S&P 500. So you can see every week. And here, okay, I can't choose every market day, every week. And it will start tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. So I'm gonna actually try it. I'm gonna try it and see, and hopefully tomorrow morning or tomorrow, end of day Friday, I will have $50 worth of S&P. Here's a summary. I can view the recurring investments. So this is going to be an interesting kind of test, because I worked with Fidelity. I worked with a number of different trading tools. It's very easy to set up recurring payments, purchases, wherever. It's very hard to find them, to edit or change them. It really is. And so here's another interesting button that I have. This is so cool. So if I leave my app, it will just keep this chart here. Gosh. Okay. So I can set alerts to alert me when the price gets up, higher or below some specific thresholds. I can read a lot about this stock here. This is wonderful. Let's see. This is also really cool, how it shows this breakdown of the portfolio. But let me find. This is pretty cool. How can I exit this screen? I think they forgot the exit button. So I need to close the app. Investing. Okay, eligible. Okay, 1 of 1 is active, reoccurring investments. Look at that. So they clearly show that I'm buying weekly S&P for $50, and I can click in here. I can see when it's gonna happen, how much will I invest by next year, right? They take 2026. So in 1 year, I'm gonna put $2,500 into S&P 500. Your SPY order price will appear here after your first order takes place. So this is basically the like the medium price that I've paid for S&P 500. So far, there's tomorrow first order, and next order is going to happen June 20th, which is going to be Friday next week. And then I can edit my investment. I can edit how much I want, and the maximum is $10,000. I can change from where I want that much money. I can pause, or I can add. This is nice. I think they've done a very good job, and I can jump into the stock, and I can see a few more suggestions and tips, and this is beautiful. I think they've done a pretty good job compared to Fidelity. I know Fidelity is very low bar, but that's why Robinhood is a great product. They've simplified a lot of things. Dividend reinvestment, right there. I was helping one of my friends to set up their Fidelity. We couldn't find this setting. We couldn't find it anywhere. We had to call them and for them to enable this. So what happens here is S&P 500, for example, they pay dividends. I don't want that cash to be lying on my account. I want that cash to be reinvested back into my Robinhood, right? Into my S&P 500. I want to buy more S&P. Okay, so now I'm enrolled. I can edit. Wonderful. Uninvested cash in your individual account by having it swept. I don't want the sweeping right now. Sweeping. Stock lending is an opportunity to earn extra income on your portfolio. I don't need it, but that's a very interesting offering. If again, I don't know how exactly this is gonna work. How is it gonna work with mortgages? But I know that a lot of people who own stocks, when they go, get a mortgage for their house, they want to use their stock as a cash reserve in order to cover some of the mortgaged value of the house, and or to actually be qualified for the mortgage. And so maybe stock lending does part of that. I'm not sure. Options trading is disabled. So I actually do want to enable option trading. So we're gonna go most likely with options. What they do, advice as part of your job. No. Are you registered with a financial regulator? No. How many years have you traded options? 3 or more. Do you know how to enter an options spread? I've entered the spread before, or know how to enter one. Review your investor profile. Okay, so I've got application approved. Usually the options trading, the way it works is they have a few tiers of qualifications. So you can see how I can buy calls and puts. I can sell covered calls, cash covered puts. I can exercise options, and I can be buying and selling spreads. What I cannot do is I can't sell calls, right? And as it says there, I can't sell puts that are not cash covered, or sell calls that are not covered. So we're going to talk about that probably next lesson. We're not going to talk about this this Saturday, unless everybody is very excited and get all the stock information right away. Enable options alert. Enable expiration date trading in your individual account. Okay, you can still close expiration positions until 4. Yep. That's wonderful. So what they say is, instead of actually exercising the options, on the day when the option might expire, they will try to sell it for me. And I think it's a much better way to do it. Okay. I don't really want margin. I know it probably says here that I have it. I can apply to trade futures. I can apply to trade event contracts. I don't need that. Yeah, here you can see a level 3, options trading level 3. If I go here, I can either downgrade, or I could maybe potentially upgrade somehow. Cash accounts do not support level 3 options trading, okay? I guess level 3 is the highest that they allow. Day trades. A day trade is when you open and close the same stock or option positions on the same day. If you place 4 or more day trades within 5 trading days, and those day trades account for more than 6% of your total trades during the same 5-day period, you may be permanently flagged as a pattern day trader. This can lead to loss of access to stock lending and cash sweep, and may result in a day trade restriction in your individual account if your portfolio value is below $25,000. So what they're trying to do is basically prevent people from day trading a lot of sums of money and quickly losing a lot of money, so that they can't access that cash on their platform. Because when they have all that cash, right, on their platform, they can invest this cash, or cash that is behind the stocks, into some other assets, because their company has this much assets under management. If you're doing a lot of pattern day trading, or just day trading, that means that you can quickly withdraw high sums of money from their platform, from under their assets under management. So they're trying to prevent that. There is also IRS kind of consequences there. Okay, there's a lot of crypto, which is really cool. Transfers, rewards, history reports. There's monthly statements, account activity reports. I think that's pretty much it at this point. And I'm gonna keep this $200 until Saturday, so that we can go through everything with everyone in person. Thank you very much for joining me for this Robinhood overview. I'm looking forward to kind of playing more with this app and using it more. And maybe I will record another video with my feedback and more thoughts about how well it worked, or some areas that it might get improved. Thank you, everyone.